Welcome back to Dr. Judi Online. And if you're new to the channel, I'm reading to you from the life-changing book, P15 Pass Book, America's Passport for Unity. And we're continuing on chapter 6, which is about people. There are 15 P's in the P15 paradigm. And today we're going to continue reading about people. And if you're just starting, please go back and look at the preface and the first 5 chapters, and then meet us here for chapter 6. The book is written by Judi Love Bowman, by me, for the More Love Movement. The More Love Movement was founded in 1999 with the goals of unity, order, faith, justice, peace, and equality. So we're continuing on chapter 6, people. Dr. Thickenshine teaches that if we pray, plan, and keep our noses clean, obey the law, we have options. We cannot control white supremacy, racism, racial profiling, classism, confirmed biases, or the mental state of those in authority. However, we can control ourselves, our actions, our children, and our households. We can be strong enough to erase the tapes that say things like, well, he's talking white, or she thinks she's Miss College. You know how those light-skinned brothers act. You're pretty, so let her husband pay your bills. You don't have to go to college. If you have a problem with substance abuse, don't tell anyone because they'll know you have a problem. If someone threatens or rapes you or threatens to rape your child, you must have done something wrong. You don't tell, especially if he's paying the bills, etc., etc., etc. Often, the way others respond to us has a lot to do with the way they feel about themselves. Some children will make fun of another science fair project or trophy because they did not have anyone to help them prepare. If others ridicule you or talk about you, pray for them. At the same time, keep your eye on the prize and stay on course. Willie Lynch compared the making of a slave to the breaking of a wild horse. Often, if they can't break you, they will lock you up or even kill you. And when I say they, it is not always about black or white. It has to do with business, and in some cases, unethical business practices, which also trickle down into class biases. Not the man, but the system was designed to emasculate the black man. Today, the black woman is no significant threat to the establishment because it's the head of the household in 70% of black families. In many cases, she is often paralyzed by her own personal problems and challenged with managing several jobs: homemaker, parent, guidance counselor, inventory control person, chaplain, driver, nurse, cook, dietitian, and the list continues. At the same time, we have to deal with racism, sexism, and black-on-black hate, especially from other black women. I was a single parent for a significant portion of our son's life. I must say that my commitment to parenthood guided the first 18 years of his life. Due to the scarcity of resources in a single-parent home, often the schools, libraries, housing, and medical care are not optimal. In addition, due to keeping up with the Joneses, and I'm going to have what the white folk have syndromes, many black women spend more than $30,000 and up to 500 hours each year on their hair alone. One 70-something-year-old black woman wrote to her 5 children in her will, "No snatching and grabbing. You know mom does not like confusion." I saw it myself. For many black women and poor women, snatching and grabbing has been a way of life since emancipation without reparations. Because we want economic parity with dominant people, some of us spend more time in hair and nail salons than praying and planning and parenting. A lot of the wasted time and bickering on reality television and in real life is about black women putting each other down over material things and acquisitions. We can all do better. Are we just going to grin and keep shopping and snatching and grabbing and frying and dying and laying it to the side? Or are we going to do something? Here is where I gained my inspiration from Moms on Patrol in Inglewood, Chicago, Illinois. They patrol the neighborhoods on the south side of Chicago and monitor neighborhoods which was previously one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Illinois. We need more organization like Moms on Patrol. Yes, we do. No one can stop our betterment and destiny. No one can stop your destiny but you. No one can keep you from your destiny. God has a great plan for your life. P15 is about more love, radical love, and it is urgent that it begins in each heart and each home. Some of the negative tapes playing in our heads are from people who are close to us and people who look like us. As a black woman, I know that each of us is different. With that, I am not generalizing, but many black women are not as much of a target for breaking because we were broken the minute we were able to try on hats in stores. We were broken the minute we could put furniture and washing machines on credit. As I stated, many of us have at some point in our lives become so paralyzed by our own personal problems, materialism, comparing and taking up the slack for all the beautiful, brilliant black men who are in prison, mentally ill, or just begging a woman for a place to stay at night. We can reverse the curse. We can reverse the breaking. It starts now. The system in America is designed to control black women by making us consumers who are often preoccupied with appearance, which is partially rooted in self-hatred, a lost culture/heritage. Toni Morrison's Bacola Bree loves the bluest eye syndrome, lack of affirmation from the dominant culture, and superficial competition with other black women. Because we are invisible and or subdominant and or rejected by the rest of the world. A subtle example of the rejection and lack of interest from white people is Paula's trip to the dentist office. Paula went regularly to the dentist office in an upscale neighborhood in Florida where she said she never saw another black in the waiting room. Paula's hair is naturally curly and midway down her back. I am sure other black people have told her every day of her life that her hair is pretty or that she has good hair. Paula and I use Miss Jessie's natural hair care products, which to us, blacks with natural hair, is the best. Paula ignored the racism at the billing office and rude receptionists. She just chalked it up to lack of exposure to black people and limited diversity training. However, she left that dental group after the hygienist turned her nose up as she pulled her hair up to clamp the dental bib and said in a negative tone, "Your hair is so thick." I would tell Paula that people pay for thick, natural hair. Part of the challenge is racism. Part of it is lack of exposure to other races. The white hygienist probably went to a white high school, married a white guy, works in a white dental office to pay for her wedding and a new car, will have white kids and be memorialized at a white funeral. Valeria, a black English tutor, said her Chinese students and parents just wanted to touch her hair. They were not treating her as a freak show or being racist. They were just curious. We need to love ourselves enough to realize that it is not the clothes, car, hair, furniture, jewelry, or home that makes the person. It's the person that makes the clothes, the car, the hair, the shoes, etc. We need to love our children enough to walk or ride in an older car rather than working a second job and missing meal times, story times, and other important moments 25 days each month. We can always buy things, but we can never get that very necessary nurturing time back. I like nice things, but as Dr. Thinkenshine says, the proper relationship to material things is stewardship, not consumption. I'm going to repeat that. Dr. Thinkenshine says the proper relationship to material things is stewardship, not consumption. Some spend $50,000 each year on new clothes, and children do not even have fresh vegetables, dental cleanings, or swim lessons. 10 years from now, where will the clothes be? I saw a woman in Florida burning clothes one day. As Americans, black and white, we just have too much stuff. Capitalists try to control us black women with fashions, welfare, fixed incomes, and unattainable images we see in the media. With many public assistance stipulations, a man or father or husband in the house will mess up the budget and disqualify the woman from subsidized housing or other benefits. Some women have to be separated from children's fathers in order to keep her housing. In some states, visitors are allowed 10 days each month. The other 20 days he can stay with his mother, grandmother, or another woman. Some have made crying the poor mouth an art form with sayings such as, I gotta rob Peter to pay Paul. Capitalists do not worry about breaking some of us or having us home, planning for the future, studying, writing memos to teachers, nurturing, praying with our partners and children, giving them love and stability in mealtime conversations, because some of us think, ain't nobody got time for that. For some, these things are not valued. We all need more love because some treat their children as if they are a burden. They want to feel loved and valued just as we do. I know I am a throwback, but every parent can take even 10 minutes each day to discuss certain topics and instill their values and goals. Listening is also a critical part of the mealtime conversations. Listening is one of the highest forms of respect we can give one another. We need to spend time listening to our partners and spouses and children. And while we need to reverse the material curse, we also have to reverse the family curse, because due to the way our race has been groomed, the black male has no role. I heard a black journalist on a documentary about a late, great black superstar say of the woman's home, she had the typical black family where the mother called the shots. With some very wonderful exceptions, the black woman has historically or archetypally called the shots. This is another example of the way the black womanist movement is dissimilar from the white woman's feminist movement. Mainstream feminists have a campaign which I support called Ban Bossy. The notion, which I discuss in one of my poems, Out of Control, is that because a woman has leadership skills does not make her bossy. At the same time, I support the boss movement among black and Italian women because I understand how hard it is to have your own business, school, salon, store, and or home. Willie Lynch planned for the black male to be marginalized, mentally weak but physically strong. The male has no role, particularly in black families and communities with fewer opportunities and resources. Once daddy has a criminal record and tattoos like a circus freak, he's not even allowed to chaperone trips at his children's public school. We need to reverse the notion that black men have been systematically phased out of the black family and socialized to become either deadbeats, incarcerated, and or the old guy in the extra room at mama or grandma's house. One Floridian who called into my More Love with Dr. Judi radio show informed me of his living situation. He said, we have a system. Daddy stays home 2 weeks a month. When mom's food stamps are gone, he goes and stays the next 2 weeks with another woman. And when daddy gets mad at mommy or the other woman, daddy can always go home and stay with his mommy. It is sad to even write about this, but we have to fix our own black selves and our own black families and our own black race. K. Michelle sings Can't Raise a Man and says he wasn't raised right before you. Can't raise a man. We can raise our boys right. We can do it. We can rear our children and let God know we appreciate the opportunity to get it right. God is on our side. One friend calls the first of each month Mother's Day because all the couples are shopping together. I call it Father's Day because the day when you see black and poor fathers out with their families. The system is designed for black women to be independent of the black male, and we perpetuate it and glamorize it. I'm Fantasia's fan. At the same time, her song Baby's Mama has become an anthem and a badge of honor. Usher and others glamorize the sex industry with such lyrics as, I don't mind if you dance on a pole, that don't make you a ... Go get that money, money, money. While serving at Hampton University as the student government president during our Save Tunica campaign, we visited Tunica, Mississippi. On my first trip, I was dumbfounded when a young girl asked me, Judi, how much do you get for a child in Virginia? I later understood that she wanted to know how much welfare a woman would get each month if she were to have a child out of wedlock. Dr. Thinkenshine teaches that sex is sacred. I was taught or learned, just don't get pregnant and embarrass your family. Sex is sacred and should be shared between two consenting adults who are in a covenant relationship. One night stands, casual sex, black men and child support court each month ends with P15. We can do better. Scarcity has taken its toll on black people. However, material things do not have to define us. As Dr. Thinkenshine says, material things don't show our wealth. They show our values. To all the single mamas and single parents, I was married 6 years before I even got off birth control because I wanted to finish school, breastfeed, and spend time with our son. With all of the praying and planning, I still ended up becoming a single mama, too, for most of our son's life. Although economic challenges magnify the horrors of racism, more upwardly mobile blacks have challenges as well. Social status or pedigree does not exempt any black person from racism, racial profiling, and confirmed biases. Since 70% of all black children are reared by a single mothers, whether a father is in the home or not, we need to pray for our sons, train them, rear them to be someone's husband, not ours. Someone's father, not ours. One black mother who lives with her 4 sons, ages 20 to 40, says, my sons don't like having a man around. They're not used to it. Each of us knows someone with the nickname man. Or knows someone who tells their son, you are the man of the house. That is a tremendous amount of pressure to put on a child. A child stays in a child's place. Yes, we need to rear black boys to be men. At the same time, they need to know that they are loved unconditionally and that they have hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Children need to be nurtured. Their role is neither to nurture us nor provide for us. Children need to be nurtured. Their role is neither to nurture us nor to provide for us. From my observational data, it seems that black women are less threatening to society, and it seems that genderqueer, gay, and differently able black men, for some reason, are less threatening as well. Perhaps this is because of the confirmed biases that many Americans cling to with reference to black people. There are more black women in college and corporate jobs and more black men in prison. It is no mistake that there are more black men in prison than in college. We can do better. We can put more black boys on track for college rather than on track for prison. We can do better. We can rear more black girls who value parenting over popping tags and community service over unhealthy competition. We need more black women who are developing themselves rather than trying to get an NBA or NFL child support check. We all want the same things in life, but at the same time, we can all do better. Yes, we can. It starts now. This is a tissue of nightmares in which we find ourselves, and it's not accidental. It is the way the capitalists of Willie Lynch School of Thought designed and taught it to the other capitalists in the 1700s. Unfortunately, it has, as they predicted, been self-refueling for hundreds of years. They predicted that the pathology would continue for even thousands of years. Saints, we can reverse the curse today. We can do something. P15. If the capitalists or the system cannot or do not break black people, especially straight acting males, according to their methods by age 16, as I mentioned, the system is designed to house us in public housing and or public and private prisons where they make huge profits, or they kill us or set us up to compete against and kill each other. Healthy competition can help to build confidence. However, too often in black communities, we make debasing one another and playing the dozen a way of life. The picking and bickering between Thelma and JJ on the television series Good Times is an archetype of the way we are perceived to discourage rather than encourage one another. Whether you have intelligences in performing, i.e. dancing, singing, sports, cooking, sex industry, etc., or not, it is critical that we remain focused and productive. Planning is one of the forthcoming topics in the P15 paradigm. Even if you are a performer, it is important to know how to read, negotiate contracts, and have basic accounting and money management skills. Until the free agency concept was introduced to professional sports, the construct looked a lot like slavery or property ownership. I heard someone say Shaq is rich, but the man signing his check is wealthy. I love hip-hop, gospel, basketball, and the arts. I thank God for the few gifted black superstars in America. Everyone is not going to be a superstar, but everyone can be great and have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Everyone is entitled to unity, order, faith, justice, peace, and equality. And if you're not part of the gifted 1% of the black superstars, have a backup plan so no one can break you. We can do better. We must do better. Gender. With regard to people, gender is just as important as race and class. I think that the cultural struggle for black women, womanists, and white women feminists are different within the patriarchal, male-dominated structure in America. I focus here on women and gender while acknowledging issues related to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning brothers and sisters and their experience in America. We all want and need the same things in life. We didn't make ourselves. In most parts of the world, including America, women are treated as second-class citizens. In the early 1900s, Southern leaders of the National Association of Colored Women organized and drew up grievances. Some of those grievances, including sexism, sexual harassment, and equal rights, are still issues for black and white women today. Although the women's rights movement and the women's suffrage movement had more resources, more organization, and more immediate progress than the civil rights movement, women, like blacks, had to organize, protest, and march for the right to vote and the right to become degreed. As a womanist, I believe in the political, economic, and psychosocial equality of women and all people, regardless of gender. As I said in my speeches the last 3 years at the Federal Women's Equality Day celebration at the Salem, Virginia Veterans Administration, quote, the white women's movement, feminism, is different from the black women's movement, womanism, because our history and culture is different. At age 11, I made a speech on equal rights, on the Equal Rights Amendment. I understood at an early age that historically all women have had it rough. The quiverful movement and the notion of the father being the supreme head of the household or cornerstones of the conservative Christian patriarchal movement. The wives become total martyrs and the husbands often become narcissists. The wives, in many cases of these Christian circles, have to provide sex on demand and blame themselves if their husband cheats, rapes, or strays from the marriage. Women often beg men to marry them or think of marriage on the first date. My freshman year at Hampton, the male health teacher asked, "How many of you came to college to find a husband?" I was the only one who did not raise her hand. When my ex-husband graduated from business school, I was one of the very few wives who was not pregnant. As I mentioned, I am not perfect nor a trailblazer. At the same time, as women, we need to realize our worth and not feel as if we have to either trap a man, lose our identity to a relationship, or feel unsafe in a relationship. I do not advocate divorce. At the same time, if a situation is life-threatening, get out. Exclamation point. We need to teach people how to treat and respect us. I was beyond blessed when our son Legend gifted me with a birthday cruise. I am neither xenophobic nor disrespectful. At the same time, if there was something great about wearing a burqa in the hot sun, shaving underarm hair, wearing high heels, which were originally worn by men, and wearing hot wigs in the sun, I think men would do it. If you read Roots, 12 Years a Slave, and study black history, you will see white men debasing women. In the movie 12 Years a Slave, the master's wife protested him dipping in the nigger juice. When she threatened to leave him, he asked her, "Where are you going to go? Back to the pig slop?" He told her, "I'll get rid of you first." Women are not possessions. We are people. In order to create a reality of unity, order, faith, justice, peace, and equality, we need to realize it is not male versus female. In most cases, it is good versus evil. We have the same feelings and goals and aspirations that men have. WNBA superstar Shamik Holdsclaw is known as the female Michael Jordan. Everyone in the world knows who Michael Jordan is. Most black people have at least one pair of a sneaker bearing his name in their home. Jordan is a household name, yet many Americans outside of Tennessee never heard of Shamik Holdsclaw until she was arrested in 2009. She is doing great work with her foundation, which assists at-risk youth, but I think she is not a household name because she is a female. She is a black lesbian, which even further marginalizes her in a white, male-dominated society. Venus and Serena Williams would have more endorsement deals if they were men also. The whole world went bananas when Mike Vick was charged with dogfighting, but have trouble even discussing Bill Cosby and the women who accuse him. Powerful men and those who are not so powerful have dominated America to a point where some do not even care about the way they treat their own wives. As a high school student, the dean of boys molested me, sent me love notes and flowers. It is a crime. When I confronted him years later to be sure he was not molesting others, I said, "I don't want to get to heaven and 1,000 black girls are there saying you molested them too." He hinted at a suicide threat and promised that his wife would vouch for his fidelity to her over the past 20 years. T.J. Jemison, president of the National Baptist Convention at the time, invited me to Baton Rouge on my first Thanksgiving at Harvard Divinity School. He was supporting my Save Tunica Hope Development campaign. I thought I would have dinner at his home and preach at his church. I stayed on the top floor of a hotel where U2 had moved out minutes earlier, ate at a country club, and was driven to the airport in an Excalibur, a car I had never even heard of. When Dr. Jemison took me on a tour of his church, I said, "Maybe I'll preach here one day." He looked at me as if he had seen a ghost. He never made any appropriate gestures toward me. He was sexist, but always a gentleman. When W. Franklin Richardson, the secretary at the time of the National Baptist Convention, discovered that I was not involved with Jemison, he tried. Someone said of the women in the civil rights movement, they don't need to march with us as long as they have my food and bed ready after the march. Each of us has free will. Adults have sexual desires. At the same time, women have choices and deserve to be treated with respect. As President Obama announced during his 2015 speech in Kenya, treating women poorly holds you back. Some of my colleagues at the African American Women in the Academy Defending Our Name conference at MIT gave me the nickname Judith Truth. At the conference, I had a display in the foyer where I solicited signatures on a petition opposing C. Eric Lincoln's appeal of his assault conviction against me. His niece, whom I had never met prior to the conference, was also at the conference. We met in a poetry seminar. She told me that Dr. Lincoln had assaulted her as well. She said, had I known about your trial, I would have walked here. God loves Dr. Lincoln just as much as he loves us. Had his niece's claims come to view during my trial, he may have died in jail. Proverbs 24:17 says, do not gloat when our enemy fails. Do not gloat when our enemy falls. I neither gloated nor filed a civil lawsuit against C. Eric Lincoln. He was convicted of assault in spite of the loyalty of the black press and his legal defense fund. They circled the wagon to protect a black man whom the niece never reported because she said he was the only one in our family who stayed in the Hilton Hotel. He was in Ebony and Jet magazine. Often when black women are abused or disrespected by black men, we have to choose between our race and gender. They, like some white men, think of us as promiscuous, which is a bad situation for women, especially in professional and work environments. But often when we stand up for ourselves, we are seen as bringing a black man down. Further discourse on this topic can be enhanced by reading Court of Appeal. The Black Community Speaks Out on the Racial and Sexual Politics of Thomas versus Hill. In some cases, we deal with and or overlook the abuse and mistreatment from black and white men and institutions simply for our daily bread. Some women say, he's a good provider, and deal with abuse. Robin McGraw has amazing resources, including safety plans through her foundation, When Georgia Smiles. We all know that God gives us our daily bread. This whole construct has its root in the black domestic worker. I have a relative whose aunt was given away as a wedding gift to a young white couple from their parents. This aunt never married, visited her relatives on holidays, and was in the home to do whatever was required. She was a gift, yet she never had a life. Class. With regard to the capitalistic structure of America, poor white people have some of the same challenges that black people have. I must say, however, that they do not have the historical confirmed biases. An example is when I went to a gas station in a black neighborhood. I saw a 20-something-year-old white man and 4 young white males loitering in front of the store. A white police officer bought one boy a soda. When the boy thanked him, he said, "Okay, see you later, buddy." The other boys who were outside were shocked that the police officer bought the boy a soda on a 100-degree day. First, if they had been black, they probably would not have been able to loiter in front of the nationally recognized gas station chain store. Second, I wonder if the young white police officer would have considered a black boy as his, quote, buddy. I have to admit that I have my own prejudices that I must work on and pray about. As an example is when I see a white person in a predominantly poor black neighborhood, my thoughts are, 1, they're looking for drugs or sex trade. 2, they are a sex offender and can't find housing anywhere else. 3, they're on probation. 4, they can't afford to live anywhere else. This is a wrong way to think and part of the reason that I am a student and teacher of P15. I honestly do not believe that white people choose to live around or fellowship with black people unless they are courting their favor for political positions and power. The exceptions are black people who cross the color line by economics, like Chris Rock, Bill Cosby, Tiger Woods, and Oprah Winfrey. Chris Rock, a superstar and comedian, said his neighbor is a white dentist. In other words, the black man has to be a star to live next to a, quote, average white family. The farther one goes through the criminal justice system in America, the poorer and blacker it gets. Some poor whites who worked as sharecroppers in America with a scarcity of legal and other resources would often have their children sent off to reform schools for truancy, smoking, and other minor nonviolent offenses. Since the families had limited resources, their children often worked as slaves running printing presses, farming, making bricks, and building furniture. These reform schools, which were generally segregated, were for-profit institutions similar to the new Jim Crow we see today in the for-profit private prison system in America. Black slaves, white slaves, all slaves have historically been purchased and or sentenced for profit. An older relative would say, when you see a white man with a broom or a mop, you know black people are doing poorly. This is a broad generalization, but it makes sense that in America's stratified, capitalistic, racist structure, being poor or living below the poverty line is challenging. Being poor and black is worse. Being poor and black and female is the most challenging. The old and the young have their share of challenges in America as well. Age. People are people, no matter their race, gender, class, or age. Some have more experience than others, but we all have the same needs and the same feelings. Seniors have the same feelings we all have, just more wisdom in most cases. Someone said of aging, it gets better, it gets greater later. Aging involves issues of letting go of the past, retirement, death of a loved one, relocation, coming full circle, and passing on the baton. With the ever-changing technology throughout the world, many older Americans experience ageism, which presents itself as alienation because it seems as if they cannot keep up. Young people can also experience ageism. While in high school, our son, a responsible, trustworthy, licensed driver, and his friend were escorted out of a shopping mall because they were under the age of 18. Although he is a registered voter and trustworthy, he cannot rent a car until he's 25. Some people frowned when I took our son, then a toddler, to a Broadway play. I understand that in many cases, confirmed biases coupled with historical generalizations cause rules to be made. At the same time, people mature and can be responsible at different ages. People are people. The colors for P15 are red and black. Red is for the blood of Jesus, Matthew 26 and 28. Black is for all colors, all ages, all genders, all orientations, Galatians 3 and 28. We need to come together, help each other, and not wait for a national tragedy to pray for each other. People are people. Children are people too. They have the same feelings as adults. They just do not have our resources, access, experience, and judgment. Children are important. They deserve our time, respect, guidance, and discipline. So I turn to my 7th P, parenthood. This chapter on people in the P15 paradigm is critical. We all want the same things in life. Thank you for joining me for this reading of the P15 Pass Book. And as I said, I'm not on here trying to sell books. I'm trying to save America, save the black race, help to unify us. If you want to read along with me, please share this video. You can get a hard copy of the book, P15 Pass Book, America's Passport for Unity, on Amazon. And on the back, I have a picture with 2 of my mentors, Rosa Parks and Shirley Chisholm. I'm gonna try to put it up there. And then another Black Lives Matter rally where I was on my knees praying in the middle of it at the Martin Luther King statue in Roanoke, Virginia. If you just wanted a souvenir copy, you can get it from Amazon. And good news, since I started this series and so many people were interested in buying the book, I think these are $14.99. But if you get the Kindle app, free Kindle app, download the Kindle app on your phone or on your tablet, and then go to Amazon and order the book. You can get it in your tablet for $1.15. So, and you can share it for free for 14 days to all of your friends and family. Okay? So, it's $1.15. One because this thing is not going to change except one person and one heart at a time. 15 for the 15 principles in the P15 paradigm. So $1.15. You can download it, share this video, subscribe today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. Let me hear what you're thinking in the comment section below. Again, this book was written in 2015. But Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun. Unity, order, faith, justice, peace, and equality. We all want the same things in life. In the meantime, the Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you. Be gracious unto you and give you peace, power, and love. More love. Boost.